Hello, hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. This is Reset episode 8, featuring Minkei and myself, and we have a special guest today. His name is Rene Roman, and we're excited to have him. Y'all can unmute yourselves now.
Hello, hello. It's good to be back
hello.
after a nice Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah, dude, thank you so much for joining us today. Minkei, do you want to give a little intro to the people of what we do here at Reset?
Yeah, so Reset was started by me and Belinda just as a way to talk about issues that are going on in our lives, to talk them out, to relate, to share with you guys, and hopefully encourage people to have their own talks, their own therapy sessions as we get through this crazy 2020 year. And one of the topics we got into, and everything centers around mental health, but one of the topics we did get into and we talk about, Belinda and I talk about a lot, is ayahuasca, plant medicine, and using it and how it helps people, what it's like. And personally, I don't have an ayahuasca experience, but Belinda has. And one of my friends, Rene, has a lot of ayahuasca experience. And I've talked
a lot like this guy's like a sage at this point.
Yeah, he is the guru. So
I'm like a baby compared to this guy.
I love it.
Yeah, so wanted to bring Rene on to talk about ayahuasca, what it's like, his experience, and really demystify those, those rumors, get people to understand it for real, what it is, what it's like, how it can help you, when you should take it, when you shouldn't take it, all those things, because I think it's healthy to keep an open mind about different things that are off the beaten path, and this is one of them.
Definitely.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming, Rene.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. Do I introduce myself
tell us.
here?
Tell us a little bit about you.
Okay.
And who you are.
So my name is Rene Roman. I'm a cranial sacral massage therapist. I used to be a pastry chef for about 15 years. And I've been drinking ayahuasca since 2015.
Wow.
I've got about 30. I counted the other day. It was 36, not 38. Ceremonies under my belt, and as well as mushrooms, wachuma. So I've a couple others that are kind of not coming to mind, but. So yes, I've had a little bit of experience with ayahuasca.
Understatement.
Yeah, yeah, and Minkei and I met in massage therapy school. She met me when I was I'd just come back, I think my second trip, and we just started to chat. And who would have thought 4 years later I would be doing this? So cool.
Yeah.
I guess it paid off. It was paid off for something, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Tell us about why you wanted to do ayahuasca in the first place.
Ooh, that's a big question. Okay. So back in about 2010, I had a couple things happen in my life that were pretty uprooting, let's say. I left a relationship, and then a week later I had this really big explosion with my then boss, and within a week my whole world shifted. And at the time I had a lot of anxiety, and a lot of really unstable energy, and it really kind of jolted me, and there wasn't really anything that was working. So I would smoke marijuana, started doing meditation, yoga, started doing some Native American work, and those things helped, but, and they helped a lot, but it just wasn't quite getting to what I felt was the core. And I had this really interesting, chance, coincidental phone call from a friend who I've known she's a medicine, I want to call her shaman now. But she said, I just had an ayahuasca experience, and I think this is what you're looking for. And did some research and found a center that I felt was what matched me. And I went in end of May of 2015. And within about the third ceremony, actually the fourth ceremony, it was as though this massive amount of weight just was taken off. And I remember it clearly, waking up after that fourth ceremony. I just remember waking up and feeling that sort of this steadiness that I'd never felt before. It was sort of this kind of a humming, like a nice 8-cylinder engine when it's just purring. And I never felt that before. And I haven't really felt that instability since. And that's what called me to go back the second time and the third time. And so I went in total of five trips in 4 years. Each trip's about 2 weeks. And each 2 weeks, you're drinking 4 times a week. So it's a total of 8.
That stuff is intense, man. Like, even just the 2 times like that I experienced, like, I feel changed from it. Yes. You know, so I can't even like imagine doing it. I don't think I could ever do ayahuasca 36 times, dude. Like,
yeah, I didn't think so either. Believe me, that when I got back that first year, I felt light. My body felt much different than I'd ever had before in my life. And I felt this urge to, I need to go back. And I actually took a step back and just really asked myself, do I really need to go back? And when by June, I said, I'm going to give myself till January. And if I feel the same by January, then I'm going to go again. And I was really just at peace. I enjoyed the healing that I had. And about beginning of the year, I just kept hearing, it's time to go back. It's time to go back. And obviously that was the plants telling me it was time, that you're not done, that you're not finished yet. And so then I went the second year. And that, I believe that was where I think the rebirthing took place. Whatever I think that first year was, I think, meant to clear me of all of the toxins and all of the stuff that had been on me all my life. So that it prepped me for that second year. And that second year is when it was just my world expanded huge.
Wow.
And there was a lot of visions that were about the future and where my life could go and the possibilities and potential, and that it was just a matter of clearing and cleansing so that I could make that possible.
How did it affect your anxiety?
Overnight, it was almost like somebody cleaned my plate. After dinner, it's like a white plate. It's all kind of, you can see the food, and it just felt like somebody just grabbed a bunch of Clorox and just wiped the plate, and it was shiny and white. And
that's how I felt the first time, actually.
Yeah.
Ayahuasca was,
really?
I felt like I got bleached over, like everything inside got bleached.
And you feel this sense of, ooh, what is that? I never felt that before, right? Did you feel like that? Like, what is that? There was sort of this kind of, this is a little too dramatic, but the angels singing in the air. It didn't feel like that, but what it did feel like was I could hear. There was something else I could hear in the ether that I wasn't hearing before, and I think it was just because I was so clear. I don't want to say so clear, but I was clearer. And so my anxiety, things that would just make me want to curl up in a ball, it was really surprising. There were times when I just would say to myself, I was still in the kitchen, working in the kitchen, and there were times when I would freak out internally, or I would go in the cooler and scream. Things that would before freak me out, now I'm just handling them in a completely different way. And
like figuring out how to take out some of the triggers.
I think what it really did was it really allowed me to go really deep and understand what those triggers and where the anxiety was coming from. And so the Mama Ayahuasca actually pulled that up in that first year. And she showed me that I had a lot of anger, a lot of fear. I was very angry at my parents. There was a lot of self-worth issues. And so that was really the container that allowed the anxiety to blossom. So every time I felt anxiety, it had a lot to do with fear, and it had a lot to do with not being good enough. And so that when I got back in that second year, it was just, I can handle this. Like, the voice wasn't, oh my God, what's happening? The voice was, yeah, I can handle this. This isn't anything I need to worry about. And that hasn't stopped since 2015. There are things like this whole thing, you know, with the COVID and what's happening in the world. It's just, you can do this. You can handle this. It's just where I think if I didn't drink ayahuasca, I probably would be a little bit not as steady. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think like with ayahuasca, because it's such like a purging, you know, like it's really like catharsis in soup form, you know, and we it really is though. It really is. I think that I truly believe that. And I think like something that I learned from that is like whatever you can't stomach, like you can't stomach it. You're not going to force it, you know, you're not going to force yourself to stomach something that no longer serves you or isn't going to be a positive note in your life, right?
Absolutely. And that's really what the medicine does, is that it you know, it really allows you to go inside, go really deep, and it pulls up those, you know, those traumas in your life that you know, that have to, I don't want to say have to come up, but if you ask them to come up, they will. And then it's a matter of you know, these are the things that happened when you were 4 or 5 or whatever traumatic experience you had. But it allows you to experience it in a different way. So you're not that 4-year-old, you're the 35-year-old or the 45-year-old, and so you're seeing it in a different perspective. And now you're able to handle it and see it in a new way. And then you'll be, I don't want to say given the tools, but throughout your journey at drinking ayahuasca, those tools start to come as you drink. You start to understand certain emotions that come with that anger or reactions, I meant. And so the medicine really allows you to really explore different emotions and how to react to situations that are much more positive or on a higher frequency than, let's say, before. And that's where the purging comes through, right? So when you have that traumatic experience, you see it in a different perspective, but you have to release that experience. And the purging allows you to, you know, collect it in the soup, so to speak, and then it has to come out. So many people purge, you know, vomiting. I never, you know, it's funny, I never purged in the 36 times. I never threw up.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I never purged.
How is that possible?
I don't know. I have no idea.
How are you able to get rid of? You just, damn. What the fuck?
I don't know, because I don't know.
How?
Every shaman, every you know, facilitator, they're just, they don't understand it. I haven't really come up with an answer yet. I just think I still, I don't know. I never purged. I purged in other ways. So other ways that you can purge are you can cry, or your eyes will water.
Yeah. How did your body respond?
Oh, great. I love that. Yeah, great question. So let's just put the first 4 ceremonies of ever drinking ayahuasca, the way I purged was I had tons of crying, but not emotional crying, just my eyes were watering. And I went to the bathroom probably 7 times my first ceremony.
So you went to the bathroom?
Yeah, I was sitting down, and then so I was purging that way. And then
that's
I
purging, dude. That's purging. If you poop
right,
it
right.
out,
Not,
like
you
know what
so
I mean?
I was pooping, but not vomiting.
See, I had problems trying to poop it out the second time. It was not like shit was not fun. Especially when you're like, people do not get up. Okay, by the way, like on ayahuasca, they don't get up. They just like fall back. But like, there are certain special people like us that will like get up and try to like move. You know? But like, that's not ideal. Like to be, Yeah,
thank God the bathroom's only maybe 100 feet from the Maloka.
Lucky you, though, you know, because I was like in a shack and I had to like walk across this plank to get to the bathroom shack.
So you're like, oh my God.
I was like, where am I? I'm like, you know, trying to poop into a hole in the, you know what I mean? Like, You're in the jungle. You're in the jungle.
No, I mean, I didn't vomit, but I did poop. And I remember that second ceremony. I think we went to the bathroom. That was on my 7th pooping session. I thought, no more. I don't want to go anymore. You know, like I think you start to hurt down there, and you don't want to sit anymore. And when you're in the bathroom, you're still in it. And so the bathroom is your experience.
Dude, no.
You're experiencing your visions in the bathroom, and you know it's a tough place to navigate when you're bathroom because
you're very affected by your surroundings, and it plays into what you see. You know,
right. And so the trick I remember reading once, and this was actually with mushrooms, but the trick I was reading was if you're in the bathroom and you're drinking ayahuasca, knock on a wall. Because you might be envisioning that you're in the bathroom, so you don't. That way,
you need to know.
Right. Yeah. And so I used to do that every time. Am I in the bathroom? Yes. That's the wall. Okay. Good. Now let's. Yeah. For those out there that are in their bathroom, like knock on the door.
It's like the light switch trick in Waking Life.
Yes. Make sure you're in the bathroom, and then once you're there, because I mean, it can be very real. Some visions where you actually think you're in the forest. But the way my approach was, I remember I was shaking, like I was having a convulsion, and I did that for 4 straight ceremonies from the beginning, the moment I drank until the end. I was shaking for 4 straight days, for 4 straight ceremonies, on top of the sweating, on top of the eyes watering in the bathroom. But I never purged, and I thought I had malaria that second day because the shakes wouldn't stop. And I asked one of the shamans, I said, I think I have malaria. And he said, well, I'll look into it when you come as I sing to you. And he's like, no, you're good. You don't have malaria. And he just explained that this is your purge and you're just going to have to, push through it.
Wow, you were shaking.
I was totally like this, just the whole ceremony shaking. And one of my neighbors said, are you okay? You having a convulsion? I'm like, no, man, I just can't stop shaking. And I went, how could I put it? Shaking for 6 hours sucks.
Yeah.
And your muscles after that ceremony, each ceremony for 4, your muscles are just dead tired. Like they don't want to move. So after ceremony, I would sleep, pretty much the whole rest of the day until the second ceremony. I mean, it was just really hard.
It's draining, man. It's draining. You don't want to do anything. Honestly, all I remember after those ayahuasca ceremonies is like days afterwards just being in a hammock. Like being in a hammock, half dead, half like, where am I?
Yeah. Belinda, why don't you tell us more about your experience, how you got there?
Oh my God, dude. That shit was like, for me, I think because I followed somebody there. You know what I mean? I didn't seek it out. It was more like presented to me. And it was literally like in the middle of me, just doing a lot of spiritual exploration, going to Burning Man. Like I was like deep in Burning Man and like music festival world, and I was with Min-K when this decision was brought to me. It's always so funny to remember, but like we were at Lightning on a Bottle, and this guy I had been in a gray area with for a few months. I had been trying to get him to go to Burning Man with me, right? But he was gonna go, and then like threw a curveball at me and was like, actually, I really want to go to Peru for a month to do ayahuasca. So I don't think I can do Burning Man and do the month in Peru. So I was like, what? You know, I've been like feeling kind of confused about where we're standing, and I was like, you want me to go to Peru with you for a month to do ayahuasca?
Yeah.
Sure.
It was definitely like, I was like, well, I'm already, you know, like, I've already been doing, you know, acid and shrooms, and I was like, well, that's the last frontier at this point, right? Like, yeah, it's levels to this. But this is like the most extreme level, honestly, like ayahuasca. Yeah. I tried DMT a year before, and so I had experience. You know, I knew I had some kind of sense of what I was stepping into, because the DMT was like so strong. Like I broke through hella hard. Like I broke through in a way that other people were jealous of. And there was like this one girl that came over to my house. I met her for the first time under the influence of DMT. Like halfway through my DMT trip, my friend's like, oh yeah, this is the other friend I was gonna have try DMT. I was like, what? Who are you? Like this is very weird. Yeah, but that was my first DMT experience. I honestly, that first DMT experience, like I curled up like a ball. Like basically what happened is like I felt like I had like a bunch of Aztec patterns collide into each other like so intensely, like in a like Incan Mayan like pattern, like ancient, you know what I mean? I was like, this is my energy form, like deep inside, like the energy force that pushes you forward and gets you to do shit. Like I feel like I was able to see what that looked like. And I was like, this is what I'm gonna see when I die. Like it's just, it's like not even, it's not even like human voices. It's not even like, it's just like, it feels, it's like deep in the pit of your stomach, and it has like a chant to it. Like there's like a otherworldly language, you know, that is way past human understanding. So that's what I tapped into, that first DMT experience. So when I went into the ayahuasca, it was like, I think I already explained to you guys before, but it was like 60% vividness for me, you know, because the DMT was so strong. Like whatever I vaped, you know, it was like really, really strong. You know, and the girl, it's funny, the girl that like I met halfway through my DMT trip, it was her first time doing it too. This girl, I only did it once. I only vaped it once. I broke through for like 20 minutes, right? This girl, she did it like 3 to 6 times, and was like, she saw me when I was like in it. She was like, I want to be on that level, and she couldn't get to that level, and she just kept like overdoing it to like, why can't I go through? Why can't I pass through? I don't understand. Like, you know, I was like, well, I don't know. I just released. Like, there's a certain surrendering that I've been doing through my 20s to the universe, you know, because the universe has, you know, ways that it wants, like it thinks will be good for you, you know, like synchronicity coming into play. You're meeting certain people, hearing certain keywords at certain times in your life that pushes you in certain directions, you know. So you know, that's so the DMT trip was definitely insane. And you know, when I get to that point, it's like I've been listening to this Whitney Cummings book where she talks about like questions that she asks strangers sometimes when they're dating. And it's like, one of the questions, like, imagine a white room, like with no doors, like, what do you feel? You know? And that's supposed to represent death, you know? And I was like, if I were in a white room with no doors, I would feel at peace. And I was like, and I didn't hear that part about it being about death until afterwards. I was like, oh, so if I died, I would just feel at peace. I wouldn't feel like manic or angry or like disappointed, you know? And I was like, man, it's so crazy to think about. It's like when you take on a Zen mentality with your life, like everything can kind of go in that perspective. But what?
No, go ahead.
The first ayahuasca ceremony was like in the jungle. I had stopped smoking weed. I hadn't been eating red meat. I think I was like 2 weeks in the like a week and a half into Peru, and it was a trip, man. The whole month in Peru was a trip. But like man, even the story of even getting to the shaman. Okay, so this guy that I had decided to go on this trip with, right? He had found this ayahuasca center, and we had put down $100 deposit, and I had told my friend who had given me my first DMT experience, I told him what I was doing, and he was like, what? I want to do that, you know? And he was like, I'm going to go before you. I'm like, okay, like, fine, you go before me. I don't give a fuck, like, you know, like, go do your shit, you know? He gets there before me, and we're like, initially the guy and I, we had flown into Lima first, and we stayed in Lima for a few days to acclimate before we went to Iquitos. And so the whole time I'm in Lima, this guy's like, my friend's like messaging me, you know, he's like, this is like totally not real, like we're not getting visions, like we're just getting sick, like don't come here, you know? And I was like, fuck, like what are we gonna do, you know? Like this is, we already paid a deposit, like this is the plan, we came here to do this ayahuasca and this is the place we found, like what the fuck are we gonna do, you know? So I was like, well shit, like I'm telling my friend this the whole, like I was like, dude, like, I was telling the guy this, right? I was like, man, I don't know. And then on the last night in Lima, we met these friendly strangers at a bar that we were kicking it at, and they offered me some shrooms. Oh, they didn't just give it to me, I paid like a little bit of money, but you know what I mean? I was still like, oh well, last resort, we'll just take these mushrooms if it's not real, and we'll just leave, you know? We'll figure out how to get the fuck out of there. Like, we will. It's really wishful thinking, but I was just like, fuck it, you know, being like, what are we gonna do? So we flew into Iquitos, and the night, I had like the hostel send a tuk-tuk driver to pick us up, and like we were kind of like, we'll see, I don't know what's gonna happen, you know? And then we get outside, and there's a guy literally like has a piece of paper with my name on it, you know? And it's like, Belinda Man. I'm like, oh shit, like he's here, you know? We were worried that the driver wasn't gonna come, and he actually picked us up, and it started raining heavily, and we go outside into this gas station that you are very familiar with. There's literally just one gas station like right outside the airport in Iquitos, you know, and it starts raining like crazy, so we like seek shelter, and he just like parked there for 20 minutes while it's like raining like crazy, right? And he's like, so what are you guys doing here? You know, like, what are you guys doing in Iquitos? And and Paul's like the only one that can like speak any English, any Spanish at all. Like I failed Spanish in high school, so I'm not of any help in South America. I'm just like, I don't know, honestly, I'm surprised I'm still alive. Like, I don't know how I survived that trip. I basically was just like leaning on his like sparse Spanish skills. But he, like, we were able to communicate. Like, we're trying to find a shaman. Like, we're going to a shaman. He was like, oh, which shaman? It's like, I know which shamans are who, blah, blah, blah. And we told him which shaman it was. He was like, oh, I've never heard of that one. I don't know if that's a real shaman. I was like, oh, shit. And so during those 20 minutes, he basically convinced us to switch hostels. Mind you, this is a hostel that sent this driver, so I don't get the fuck. Like, what? how do you like not drive your guests back? But like end up taking to a different hostel. So yeah, this guy took us to a different hostel and also convinced us to go with a different shaman and to meet up with a guide that he was friends with that could, you know, guide us to where we were trying to go. And so we allow him to basically derail our whole plan, you know? So we, and then we meet this guide on like some side street in Iquitos, and it's like, no one is there. I feel like I'm in a City of God scene, you know? I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here? And this guy comes out of nowhere, and he's got this like happy snake face on, you know? I'm like, I've never imagined it, but like he really did look like a snake, but like a happy snake, like a happy, trustworthy snake named Hitler. His name was Hitler. So, you know, I'm like, sure, I'm gonna trust this, like, fuck it, you know, like, I'm already here, I'm committed, like, what are we gonna do, you know? So we talked with him for an hour on this street corner, and he like is like, okay, well, if you're serious about it, like, we're gonna go in the morning, we're leaving at 9 a.m. and like, you guys can stay at this hostel, and then in the morning we'll come pick you up. And how much were you gonna pay at this other place? Oh no, well, you'll only have to pay half of it for here, and you'll stay with my family in the jungle. And I was like, all right, well, you got nothing to lose, dude. Honestly, like. And I'm so glad. If I were by myself, this would be a different story. Because like after you told me those stories about those girls, I'm just lucky that everything was real. But yeah, so we ended up like going to the jungle with Hitler and then staying with Hitler's family, and they run like a compound, like they've been like building out like different shacks in like different areas. I think with like Westerners pouring money in, right, like they can start rebuilding stuff. But it's honestly like that shit, they build it and then it gets destroyed because the rain and like the storm over like I've seen bridges like I remember walking through the Amazon like a few times, and they were pointing out like different like areas that have been destroyed, and it's like they build it and then it gets destroyed and they have to rebuild it again. Like that's why they need that money,
the Amazon.
Yeah, the Amazon, man. The Amazon's like a trip. I have some photos playing in the background right now for people watching or will be watching in the future. Photos of the Amazon. But we ended up staying with Hitler and his family. Well, Hitler left and there was no signal. It's such a trip to keep saying Hitler, but that was his name, you know what I mean? Like that was the guy's name. So yeah, we there's no reception there, and honestly I've had like the most lucid dreams I've ever had in my life in the jungle, like with no frequency, no satellite, nothing blocking out you and the universe. Like there are aliens out there for sure. I believe that, there are aliens. There's like there are other worlds out there that are trying to communicate with us, but we're like building out so much like cell phone service, satellites like blocking up that we're not really able to tap into that, in my opinion. But when you're like in the jungle and like there's no distraction like that, around, like no TVs going, like you're just in the jungle. Like it's another experience for sure. But the first ceremony happened like a few days after we got there. And it was like 9:30 p.m. at night. It was with the shaman that didn't speak a lick of English. There was this girl from Lima that had gone with us too, in the morning to the spot we were at, and she didn't speak much English either. Honestly, the whole time we're all just using Google Translate on our. It's like I was able to download that app, so like I didn't need to use Wi-Fi service. I just like needed to like be able to, So they understand what the hell I'm talking about. I'm rambling. Sorry. No, I'm trying to get to the first experience. I'm sorry. I just wanted to paint like a little picture of where I was at when I did it. But like, 9:30. We did at 9:30, and the shaman basically chanted the entire time, and I had like a very adverse reaction. Like I was like drumming to my legs, to the shaman's chanting, and the guy I was with and the girl and Hitler's dad, like, because he decides he wants to do the ayahuasca with us too. And like, no, it's such a crazy experience when like nobody really speaks in English. You're in another country and you're taking this soup that's like forcing you to purge everything out of your system. And with my drumming, like the shaman like basically had to put his hand on my head to like calm me down, and I punched him during my first ceremony, which I didn't realize until the morning after, because the guy I was with had to tell me, he's like, yo, you punched our shaman last night? I was like, what? When did that happen? I don't remember this at all. Sorry. Does anybody want to interject? I kind of rambled for a second.
Oh, I want to know, you said before that you felt bleached. Was that part of the first ceremony?
Yeah, that was part of the first ceremony. The bleaching. I mean, because this is like a medicine, right? I don't think you should abuse it. Like where I was at, I've just been partying. You know what I mean? And I think I already knew what my purpose was in life too. So it wasn't like I was seeking hella hard. I was just like, I was in fun mode, and I was, like I wasn't, like, I didn't need it. When you take medicine that you don't need, like if you're not sick and you take cough medicine, like that's going to affect you, right? Like that's going to do something to your system. For me, I just felt like I took medicine that I didn't really need. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't having an existential crisis. I wasn't having, like, I've been pretty set.
You didn't have something you wanted to cure yourself of.
Yeah. So the bleaching for me felt really, it wasn't as like satisfying, I feel like, as it would have been if I really needed it, if that makes sense.
But you feel like you got something. It was like a little bit. Something happened, even if it wasn't anything you were needing or looking for.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. Did you notice any change after you left?
I noticed I wasn't quite myself afterwards. Yeah. I think it was also because I was there for somebody else. You know, when you're there for somebody else, it's hard. You know, yeah. When you're not there for yourself and you're there for somebody else, it will affect you. And I think my heart got really broken on that trip too. So
that helps.
Yeah.
Your story is completely opposite of mine, because my journey was purposeful, and there was an intention to heal.
My intention was to heal him.
Yeah.
I don't think I was trying to heal myself, and in the process of healing him, I ended up hurting myself at the same time. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you did get some healing though.
I did get some healing. I did.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I hadn't gone on that trip, I might have been stuck in another 8 months or so, or I don't know how long. I might have been in an unsatisfying situation for a while.
Sure.
And how you need to go in a certain extreme situation sometimes to really understand, like, you need to get the fuck out. Like, that's what it was for me. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, after that trip, I didn't even tell him I was going to stop talking to him. He had to stay in Peru for a week after me. He was going to go on a long hike up some mountain that I couldn't. I had some obligations back home, so I left. And on the plane ride back, I was like, I can't talk to this guy anymore. This guy's going to waste my time, and I'm going to keep chasing after somebody that doesn't want me fully, that just like wants to dictate the rules of our relationship, to his needs and not completely to mine too. That's not fair, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a hard one.
Good for you.
It's a hard one. It's hard to leave people sometimes.
Wow.
It hurts, especially if you really love them and you feel.
Yeah, but you did what was best for yourself. Yeah.
And maybe the ayahuasca facilitated that.
It helped me cut the rope.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right?
It cleared your mind a little bit.
Yeah, it did. So I guess I did need it too. I needed it to break away from him. Maybe it wasn't the results he probably ideally wanted, but
and it wasn't the one you wanted at the time.
It wasn't
either.
the one I wanted either. But
right.
I think the
ayahuasca,
and it also reminds you of, like, really, if you can't stomach something, don't try to swallow it. Don't keep it in your system. Don't keep eating it. Yeah, it's hard.
Bravo. Cool. Good for you.
Thank you, dude.
Yeah. Plant medicine.
Burning Palo Santo.
Yeah, clear some energy out.
Renee, the medicine man.
The medicine.
Yeah, just apologize.
So Renee.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, tell us about, your journey. So you had one, and then the second trip you changed. You said you changed a lot. That really shifted you and getting to know you and your purpose.
Yes.
And, like, what about the 3, 4, or 5 times? What happened in those?
So I would say that trip 2 was what gave me a purpose, a focus, as to where I needed to go in my next into this journey in my life. And I got back that first journey, and I decided that I was going to leave pastry, and that in one of my ceremonies, Mama Ayahuasca told me that it was time to go into the healing arts because that's where we need you. That was literally what was said to me, like, we need you. As you know, we need you to heal people. And I thought, no, I'm a pastry chef, you know.
Yeah.
And, but through a series of visions, she showed me if I continued to do pastry, that my life could potentially go this way, and it was pretty terrible. And you know, and I wasn't happy, and she makes you feel the feelings. So I was really happy. I wasn't happy. I was miserable. I was divorced. My kids hated me because I was working 12 hours a day, like most pastry chefs do. And then she said, but if you go into the healing arts, your life could look this way. And you know, right away I had a healing center. I had staff. I had a bunch of therapists on staff. You know, it felt exactly on purpose. And then my kids came in. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna have kids, you know. And then I was taken to the forest, and then I saw my future wife, and that was basically the context. Was your life can go, you know, it's always potential, right? It's never for sure, but you know, you take the visions, you know, and some visions are not meant to be literal. Some visions are more metaphorical, but for this one, I just liked the feeling of feeling. The feeling was just abundance and happiness if I were to go in a different direction. So when I got back in 2015, that summer, I enrolled in the massage therapy school I went to 3 months later. And then after a year, I went the second time, and that's when everything really opened up. And it was about really going deeper, understanding. The idea was, the message that I was given was, if you want to heal people, you have to be healed yourself as much as you can. You have to be really a hollow bone or a clear vessel in order to heal others. And you still got a lot of stuff that needs to come through or get cleared and cleansed. So that second year was really about getting my ducks in a row emotionally. And so that second trip was really about just kind of taking this body and saying, okay, like, you know, shake it out. Yeah. And then, and that's what I felt going after that second trip. And then on the third trip, I went 2 years. I went twice in 2017. And I went in September of 17, and that was two weeks. And that was really more about like fortifying. I dieted a plant called Ayayhuasca, and it's a tree, and trees are much more potent than plants. And the shaman, typically you don't get a tree only in 2 weeks. They typically will allow you, or the shamans will have you diet that tree for 3 months or 6 months. It's a long diet for that particular plant or tree, but he felt I was ready to do it in 2 weeks. And so it was really heavy because it's a very potent, powerful tree that it does a lot of things, but one of the things that it does is it works in conjunction with ayahuasca, and it helps you heal. So they work together while you're in ceremony. But the thing is that after ceremony, you go to sleep, Ayayhuasca works on you even more. So in your dreams, they feel like another ayahuasca ceremony because they're so intense. Wow. And so many downloads come through. And so a lot of it was about healing past relationships, you know, mother and father issues, family issues, all kinds of things. So for 2 weeks, it felt like I didn't really have it was pretty much nonstop. And then I went in December because I was dating somebody who was going to go for 2 weeks, and she had asked me if I was open to going for a week. Actually, it was 2 weeks, but I was only able to go for a week. But that was funny because it was I dieted Marosa, which is about self-love. It allows you to open up your heart chakra for more self-love. And so that was all about, I love myself, you know. That was really what I needed to end the year. And then, so then we go into 18. And 18 was really more about kind of setting me up for this journey of going into the healing arts. And it was really more about how much, like, what are the things that I'm afraid of? What are the things that are most fearful to me? And basically I was kind of getting thrown around through those 2 weeks. In the last ceremony, I felt more and more up to how could I put it? I felt like I was could dance with Mama Ayahuasca, like a pro, you might say. And so I was drinking more. So typically I usually just drink about 1.5 ounces, and I was drinking about 2 ounces, 2 ounce. And the last ceremony, I drank about 2 ounces, maybe 2.5 ounces.
You had a lot of shit to shit out, dude.
Yeah. And that last ceremony was crazy because it felt like, I think that was what I was taught that ceremony was, even though all of this, the environment is going to hell, how centered are you going to be? So it's kind of like that Zen moment where you're like, the storm is coming, you're in the, how are you going to deal with everything falling apart around you? How are you going to stay centered? And the way it showed me was in that particular ceremony, it felt like every atom of my being was being separated.
Wow.
And in the vision, it was all of these like wormholes were opening up in front of me. I was in like this black space, and all of these wormholes kept opening and were pulling me. Like, it was within seconds I'd get pulled into this wormhole, and then it'd be brought back and pulled into that wormhole. It felt incredibly chaotic, and the thing about it is I couldn't move. So I was completely, it felt like my body weighed 1,000 pounds. I couldn't move my arms. I was just still there.
Mm-hmm.
But what it was doing was it was showing me, basically, I think what it was is, I'm going to throw you in, the washing machine, and you have no life jacket, and how are you going to get out of it?
Yeah.
I remember just breathing and staying centered as best I could through the 6 hours.
Yeah.
And
wow.
And after those 6 hours, I don't want to say I felt traumatized, but I felt like, holy shit, what was that? I'd never had an experience like that before. But it took about 6 months for me to integrate that experience. And what I realized was, and I think that set me up for what's happening now, because again, with the anxiety and all the other things I was able to clear out, although this time in our lives is a little up, it's crazy. I've been able to really go back to that ceremony and realize, you know what, I'm going to call on my trees, I'm going to call on my plants, and be as centered as possible no matter what happens. And that's really been helping me. So I would say that each trip was just like another stripe on my sleeve, you might say, to get myself propelled into this next part of my life.
Yeah, I think you probably had like a lot to unpack, right? Like there was a lot of purging, a lot of
absolutely,
and that's why that was necessary.
And it was about ancestral too. We all have ancestors, and a lot of things didn't necessarily happen the way we wanted to in previous lives. And I think it was a lot of ancestral purging too. I mean, there was a lot of ancestors that would come through. Ancestral
trauma that needs to get out.
Hell yes. Yes. And
right?
that's something that isn't really talked about in doing ayahuasca, is that, ancestral trauma will come through.
I feel like I'm still, like I definitely have ancestral trauma too. There's like unexplained feelings and
absolutely.
Weight that you carry around. And it's unexplained from your personal experiences. It's like something beyond your own ego and your own history.
Yes.
Because you're just an amalgamation of fragments of everybody who brought you into this world. Not just like your mom, but like her family and everybody connected.
And your father's family.
Yeah, man. And
you have two lines, family lines that come together, and now it's what happened to them 100 years ago. It's I have to clear, in Native American,
there's a lot of triggers that you inherited.
And so in the Native American tradition, they talk about when you heal yourself, you're healing 7 generations behind you and 7 generations in front of you.
Oh shit!
So it's really up to you to it's the saying is you may have come into this world with trauma, but it's your responsibility to heal your trauma. And so I feel like that was one of the things I did was I think I healed 7 generations behind me, and I hope 7 generations in front of me. It's a nice thought. And it's a big responsibility. And so I would say that if you're going to go into the jungle, it's not, it's something that has to be very intentional, and you have to be very clear as to why you're going down there, because you can get thrown around, even with somebody that went to a center that I trust. The shamans are solid, and the staff is very much schooled into the trauma that people have. I mean, you can still get thrown around,
Yeah, you were explaining to me the culture of it, and when I told you about my story, you're like, I don't know, like that could have gone wrong in so many ways.
So many ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and there's so many. There's definitely some people out there that are, they're not
taking advantage of Westerners and
absolutely. Yeah. And so, yeah, definitely, I would, do your homework for sure. If you're gonna, if someone's listening to this and saying, I want to do ayahuasca, okay, great. That means the plant is calling you, number one. That means if you're either having a dream or you're listening to this, or maybe you've heard the word, that's how it happened to me. I kept seeing the word ayahuasca and I kind of knew what it meant, but I didn't really know it until my friend called me and said, I had an experience. Then it was, oh, okay, I kind of heard about it. She's now talking about it. Let me go do some homework. And so it was kind of this unfolding a little step. Whereas if you're just, oh man, I got high and I want to go do do ayahuasca. yeah, work on it a little bit more.
Have a deeper reason to want to take that medicine.
If you have a dream and you feel like there's an influence or there's a message behind that dream or let's say a conversation and something gets triggered, then yes, I would say you're going to do ayahuasca for sure. But remember, you're going to
not just for shits and giggles, because you're not going to be giggling. You're going to be shitting.
No. Ayahuasca is not like, you don't do that recreationally, because who wants to shit and feel shitty and
who wants to vomit? Who wants to be put in a state where you can't talk to anybody? You're just in a hammock for days, and
you're just and you know what? And the Amazon, it's I don't want to say it's a dangerous place, but it's a magical place. It's definitely not around. There's no concrete. I mean, it's plants and trees and animals and insects and the people that live there. And there's a different kind of energy, and it's a much, much elevated energy than, let's say, me being in the city of San Mateo, where there's concrete and Wi-Fi and cars and all that. When you go into the jungle, it's a completely different frequency. And so, are you going? The thing is your intention going to meet that, or are you going there to have a few laughs? And if you go there to have a few laughs,
you're not going to be laughing. You're not going to be laughing.
No. And the medicine is very, you can't fool her. And so the medicine's going to clearly say, okay, you're really not here you're here to kind of abuse me. Or you're here to not meet me with reverence.
Yeah, because you were explaining to me the culture of it down there, right?
Yeah.
Like people in Peru and South America, they're not taking ayahuasca, right?
Yeah, if you talk to most Peruvians, they're like, oh no. Or my uncle did that once. Or you never hear somebody. I have in the 4 years I've gone, I have never met a Peruvian, and I've met a lot who have said, "Oh yeah, man, I've drank 36 times like you." Never heard it. I've been to laundromats, supermarkets. I've had tons of conversations with cab drivers, hotel staff, and they all. I mean, I stay at the same hotel, and the staff says, and they're always the same staff. But hey, Rene, how are you doing? Like, oh, another round of ayahuasca? Yeah, like, oh my gosh, how do you do that? And it's people that live in Peru. So it's a very interesting dynamic how people that...
And you're telling me like shamans, they're just regular people. They could be a mechanic in Nikitas, right? Yeah. Like, I didn't even know that. I did not know that.
They're not rock stars. They're the shaman of the tribe, and, they heal people, and they don't really want all that attention. But, when you bring dollars in, it becomes a different situation. People want to make those dollars, and so then it's, the good shamans, they're cool.
Because like in the olden days, before Westerners came through, a shaman would just be, like part of the community, right? Like
absolutely, the medicine man he's a part of the community, but he's not the guy
reverence.
He's not the gold chain, I'm going to heal you guy. What I mean by that is he doesn't. He's not about attention.
Yeah, because like there are shamans that like take money from people. Like they fly to other parts of the world, right, to like host these ceremonies.
I've heard of a few shamans that do that, but it's typically not one of the things that a Peruvian shaman would do. I could only speak about Peruvian shaman or the shamans in Iquitos. But yeah, they do have shamans outside of Peru. Is it something? I just like to do it in Peru, in the Amazon. I'm not a big fan of doing ayahuasca in the city. I've done it twice, and it was okay. I just feel like, again,
it's not the same, man. It's not the same as like being in the Amazon. Because you feel the energy around you that you cannot access in a a first world country like this. Or second world at this point. I don't know how much money we owe to people, but you know, like
yes, I would much rather be in the, and again, and the thing about being in the Amazon is you're getting a good,
there's ancient energy that is not just America's like what 200 or 300 years old compared to million. I don't know. I think
other people before them, but I would say that when you're in the Amazon, there's a lot of things that take place and are interplaying here. Is that, you know, the land is much, it talks to you. The trees are they're alive, and the animals there, but the people as well. You know, they've been on that land for centuries, right? So they're already on a different frequency. The food that you're eating is much cleaner.
No, the food I remember is so good. There was also, I remember there was a fruit called granadilla that I was eating a lot. Like, that was like it looked like an alien. Granadilla, or I think it was like Granadilla. It was like an alien looking fruit. It looked like it looked like an alien baby inside. I was like, what the fuck is this?
I don't even.
Let me see if I can.
Here,
I'm pretty sure I need a hair. You can. I'm gonna look for the photo.
Okay, cool.
While Belinda looks for that, you know, we'll do a little wrap up here because we're at 1 p.m. already.
Cool.
So I want to say thank you to Rene, and you know, if you had some advice to someone who is interested in doing ayahuasca, what would you say to them?
First things first is if you have any kind of mental health issues like schizophrenia or bipolar, I would definitely not recommend it, because that would actually make things much more difficult. It could inflame those symptoms and can make things worse. So I would say definitely talk to either if you have a therapist or somebody that you trust that you've been working with. I would definitely get an opinion before you go and drink. And then I would definitely say the way I describe it is you have to feel that pull, or sort of this butterfly feeling, like, you know,
it's like something's calling you.
Yeah, you have to have these, I call it the butterflies. You know, when you meet somebody new, it's like, ooh, I want to know more. There has to be this curiosity, this interest, and it has to really feel, it has to feel like you're being led, and you have to feel pulled. And then once you feel that, I would say definitely go and do a lot of homework. And it may not be for you, and it isn't for everybody. And so I would definitely talk to people that have gone 36 times or have experienced ayahuasca in the Amazon as opposed to in the States. And then once that kind of clears out, and you finally have an idea of what center you want to go to, then I would say definitely, if you can go with a group, that would be great. If you go alone, really be aware of what you're doing. If you can pick up Spanish, that would be wonderful. But once you're there, I would say really be intentional. Why are you going? And write down your intentions. And so my first year, I had 15 intentions. I had at least 2 intentions per ceremony. So one of them was my childhood trauma and my anger. Those are the first 2 things I wanted to tackle in my first ceremony, and they were huge. So I would say those are definitely some ideas before you go drink ayahuasca. And then the after part, because there's the integration phase, and that might take a year. It could take, as I've had integration insights after a year of drinking ayahuasca. So it doesn't stop after you leave. It'll keep, you'll be in the shower 6 months later and, oh, that's what that vision meant. Because you may not know what the vision means that the next day. It might be something that you just have to work out and work through it on your way back. And then I would say the last thing is, when you get back to the States, the world's gonna be different. Okay, it's gonna be a little bit different because it's gonna be louder, and your nervous system isn't gonna be so willing to say, okay, yeah, I want to deal with traffic and cars again. You might want to, this is what I used to do. I'd come back and I would get 3 days off from work. So I would extend my vacation to last 3 days off to just come back to the world and realize, okay, I was in the jungle for 2 weeks. Now I got to come back to the world. And I would give myself three days to just kind of go back in the flow. The last thing is, try and be a vegan before you, at least a month before you drink.
Yeah, I cut out red meat. I think I mostly was like just eating veggies and some fish to sustain myself.
Yes, and so I would say if you can be a vegan, because I was
and cut out smoking anything before. If you have any vices, like don't drink, don't smoke. Don't do any other recreational shit. Like, keep your system clear, because the whole point is to clear out your system. And
if you're on prescription drugs, talk to your doctor to see if you can wean yourself off. You know, you want to go to the jungle as clear as possible. So if you have prescription, if you're taking prescription drugs, see if you can not, you can avoid them for that month. If you can. If you can't, then you can talk to the center you're going to see how that's going to affect ayahuasca. Because ayahuasca really wants to be with you energetically, not with marijuana or mushrooms, because then you're going to have, the vessel, and there's going to be a lot of plants saying, okay, who's in charge here, kind of thing.
Yeah, so you really it'll be very confusing. You'll have a very confusing experience.
If I'm going to do one plug, the center that I go to is called NÜFLY Rao, and it's in Iquitos, and you will find it.
How do you spell that?
It's NIHUA. NIHUA RAO. Yeah.
NIHUARAO. In Iquitos.
Yes, it's a NÜFLY. If you say it in English, it would be like NÜFLY Rao, but it's pronounced NÜFLY Rao, and it's NIHUARAO. I'm sorry, NIHUERAO. And the shaman there is Ricardo Amaringo, and he's been doing it for about 25 years, and he's absolutely the best shaman I've ever been to, and he's really well versed in trauma, addiction, and PTSD. Like, that's what they're really good at. Like, they're really good at that. Some shamans are better with other things. Those are the things that in my experience, that's what they're very good at doing, and clearing and cleansing, and then you might stay for a month, you might stay for 2 weeks.
Nice, dude. I found the fruit, dude. It's this. Have you ever seen this?
Oh my gosh, I've seen it. I haven't had it.
Dude, I couldn't eat any afterwards. Like, they try to feed me food, like and I was like, I'm not eating anything after that. Like, and all they had was this fruit, and I was like, this is the only thing I can stomach right now. Like,
and that fruit was probably,
it was like a passion fruit.
It's gonna sound corny, but once you're in the jungle, there are fruits that call to you, and there are things that you say, well, I don't want to eat that right now. I feel like I just want to eat rice, or I just want to eat, the lentils, and that's all you're gonna eat for a week. And it sounds like, why am I just eating lentils? And it's the plants saying, or Mama Ayahuasca saying to you, you know what? We need you to be cleaner in your diet, or we need you to say enough of the fish or enough of the milk or whatever. That in order for your healing to occur, we need you to be as clear. And so some people will really eat once. I only would eat once a day during ceremony, because I wanted to drink as clear as possible.
Yeah, because it can tap into what's in your system. You know what I mean? Like, so you got to be careful about it.
One of the things is, like, shamans say, don't eat fish that are aggressive fish. That aggression can come through. So you want to eat fish that are, not predators. There you go. Don't eat predator fish.
Oh, what? I didn't even.
Spicy. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I didn't know. I look into it enough. Oh shit! Yeah. Wow.
Don't eat spicy food. Don't eat predator animals. Don't eat fats. So there's a huge, the huge thing that do not eat before you go to Peru. And so the website will let you know what to eat. And so I mean, hey, if you feel called, then yes, if you feel called, it's calling you. And then when you meet in the middle is a beautiful thing. It's when it's kind of like, there's not this synchronicity, then you're not meant to go.
Yeah, synchronicity is a huge thing. When you have there's openness in your heart to accept certain things, the universe is gonna give it to you when the time is right. The universe will provide. This is the playa provides. Sorry. Yes.
When you're in ceremony and you drink that first time, surrender.
Surrendering. Yeah, you have to.
Surrender. If you go in and you're not wanting to surrender.
If you're a control freak, like this is not going to work. You have to let go of the control.
And if you don't surrender, you will by the end of the week.
Yeah, it will. Mother Ayahuasca will get it.
Yeah, she'll just gonna be like, oh, so you want to play like that? That's cool. Then we're gonna make you get on your knees.
It's gonna be even more painful.
And I don't mean like get on your knees in a subservient way. It's about opening up this thing that we call our body, right? But opening up your heart and opening up that pineal gland, right? And if you're constantly resisting it, right? Then that's a sign that already there's some issue there. Like I need to why am I so resistant? There's something I need to clear out. And that could go back to, when you were 5 or when you were 20. It doesn't, whenever that particular issue happened, it's that resistance to life, the resistance to saying, okay, if I'm here to get healed, then I need to let it go and be non-resistant, surrender, and allow the energy to come through. And that's when the magic happens.
Yeah.
That was my thought.
Yeah. You got to surrender so the universe can hug you.
Yeah. Even when you're not drinking plants, it's do it anyway, right? So that's a pretty cool message.
100%. I agree.
Yeah.
That was a great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Thank you for
so
being
much.
Here.
Let me just close out the show.
Cool.
So
awesome.
Thank you so much, Rene, for coming on.
Thank you.
Really appreciate your energy, and it was
likewise.
It was it was super dope to have you, and we'll have to get more knowledge about ayahuasca in the future too. I'm sure you got a lot of stories. This is like literally just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to the vision where I went up to Neptune and I landed on Neptune with aliens and
What?
Yeah, that's a whole other one. So if you want to do that, we can do another one. But
we might have to do a part 2 on ayahuasca.
Yes. Aliens, going to Neptune, going to gods of Egypt, you name it. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Beautiful.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye. Have a good one.
Bye. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, thank you for joining again, everybody. This episode 8 for NÜFLY, featuring myself and Minke. That was I got the order wrong. It's okay, I got it. It was a very enlightening conversation today with Rene. So thank you for recommending him, Minke. And I'm gonna get us out of here. And we'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Bye.
Okay,